The most effective way to stop a criminal who is armed with a firearm is to have one of your own. Hi everyone, this is John with today's active self-protection lesson out of Brazil. Here we're going to see a couple of Brazilian robbers who are going to get their just desserts. Let's see what happens. So some guys are just hanging out outside this convenience store at the bottom of our screen, and the car pulling in right now is actually our defender, and you can just barely see in the top right that the bad guys come around his car. They actually walked up on these guys in the convenience store, and you're gonna see here it evades kind of the most of the camera, but they're gonna walk up and you're gonna see the one guy with a gun in his left hand there is gonna accost these guys and try to bring them in and rob them. And you see actually our defender is actually sees it and kind of ducks back behind the car, draws his firearm, and now the tables are turning. Bang, bang, he pops him twice, gets the other guy, and then falls back because the guy shot back at him. And he smoked that first guy there. That guy took the room temperature challenge, and the other guy ran off. And now he's gonna spend a little bit of time trying to make sure this guy's not armed. He didn't make it anyways. And this guy, he covered his asp. Well, that one ended rather definitively. I do have a question for you. Do you think if you were in that off-duty shoes that you would have stepped in, or would you have just stayed out of the way to protect yourself? I'm interested in how the community responds to that. I want to think about some significant lessons out of this one, including, first of all, keeping your tools on you. Number two, about intervening in third-party encounters. And number three, using a counter ambush and a surreptitious draw to protect yourself and end the threat. There really is so much to think about in this one. And first of all, I love the fact that our defender is just running to the store here, and you can see it's pretty late. It's almost 11 o'clock. And I know so many of us that, man, I got to go run and get a gallon of milk or something. And we just go without thinking about our tools. But friends, let me tell you, always keep your force multiplier on you, if at all possible. This guy at almost 11 p.m., he's heading out to the store, but he still had his firearm on him. And because he still had his firearm on him, he still had the opportunity to protect himself and everyone around him. And so make sure that your carry situation, that what you have for carry is available and effective to you at all times, and carry your gun, and not just in the car. Your car is not a holster. Carry it on your person. Now, as the bad guys are coming around here, we got to recognize that they're going to launch the attack from ambush, and they get to set the timing of the attack. And you're going to see right here, this guy draws a gun and pulls it up. And from the perspective of the victims, there's really not much you're going to do at that point when they get the drop on you and they have a gun on you like that. Your best bet is probably just to comply, to give them what they want, and then hope for the best. And that's kind of what these victims are doing. But if you are the defender at that point, you're not gonna get, if this guy down at the bottom had a firearm on him, you're gonna have to find an opportunity to launch a counter ambush, and he didn't really have one there. So you see these guys are going to kind of gather up their victims and get more people so they can get more stuff. And now our good guy kind of finally sees what's going on and goes, what's going on here? So here's a point of contention and something you're gonna have to think about. And that is, are you willing to step into a third-party encounter? Now, I don't have firm guidance for you on this one. You have to decide for yourself which encounters you're willing to step into and which ones you aren't. These are strangers. They had the right to protect themselves as well. So you could say, nope, my bigger responsibility is to my family and my loved ones, and so I'm just gonna be a good witness. I'm gonna get out of the danger zone here, and I'm not gonna become a victim. Other people would say, nope, you got to defend the weak and the powerless, and so they're going to step in. That's something you have to do ahead of time so that you know exactly what your actions are going to be, and you don't have to think about it when somebody's got a gun waving around. This guy decided he's going to help. So what he did there is he ducks back behind the cars in order to get a surreptitious draw. He's going to launch a counterattack here. And whether you want to call that a stealth draw or a surreptitious draw, this isn't getting the gun out as fast as you possibly can, but it is getting the gun out as quietly as you can and ready to go without having to chamber around, without having to take off a safety, because those kind of noises are so distinctive that they can ruin a counter ambush. And instead, he got back where they couldn't see him and got his gun out, and that surreptitious action gets him the ability to get ahead of the curve. Now, as he's going to step in and choose in this moment, he gets around the car and then chooses a very short target, chooses the first target there, and he's going to put a couple shots on that guy. Now, I haven't seen that guy have a firearm. However, two armed robbers are definitely acting in concert, and therefore they are just as dangerous, each one, as the other. Now, of course, you might think, well, we want to handle the guy that has the gun first because the gunman is more dangerous than the grab man. But in this instance, the grab man was so much closer that he might have been the better choice to be able to get a couple in him, give him a first serving like he does there. And you see that first one that he hits, he folds that guy up like a cheap card table, man. That guy, I don't know if he hit him in the spine or whatever with that first shot, but because he was only at about maybe 3 yards, he put that in that high center chest, and that's why we hit there. We go for the pumps and the pipes, and if it gets all the way through and gets to the spine and is able to, get neuromuscular incapacitation, so much the better. But he gets close enough there that he stays far enough away that the guy can't get his hands on his gun, but that he has a very assured shot, and I think that was a very good thing. So then he's going to put a second shot in this guy right now, and there's that second one. And you know what? When we see with handguns, you're going to do that a couple times, and then he makes a transition here and gets to the other guy about 0.6 of a second after that second shot, which is a pretty good transition time. So he hits him a couple times, but now think about the fact that the shot goes from about 3 yards to about 7 or 8 yards with somebody shooting back. This is why in our training we work on those target transitions and distance transitions to work from shooting quickly to shooting carefully to shooting precisely, as Tom Gibbons says, when we do those things, because the multiple bad guys that we might face are at different distances. We go from about 3 yards here to about 7 to 8 yards here. Now you notice that our good guy, he gets down because he's startled because the bad guy shot back at him. They call that the fibs factor, right? Fudge, I'm being shot at. And good guys are just as apt to be subject to the fibs factor as bad guys. So you got to know in that moment that that's okay, that if I'm going to get out there, that I've done this enough, that my emotional fitness is strong enough that I am going to put my shots on target and not fall backwards up against it. Thankfully, at this point, the bad guy runs off, and so he didn't hit the good guy, he just shot at him, and everything that I have says that he didn't get that. Now, I want to think about the fact that our good guy's coming in here, and he closes the distance completely, has his gun in his dominant right hand, and he's reaching out with his left hand to frisk this guy. I can't tell you enough, as a self-defender, not a cop, as a self-defender, you do not have to do that and disarm somebody. Certainly, if you're going to stay in their vicinity, you want to disarm them and get any weapons that they have away from them. But as a self-defender, you can just retreat to a safe place, get on the phone with 911 and let them deal with it. My recommendation here actually is to probably stay at a little bit of distance, stay the one on the firearm, see if one of the bystanders will help you kind of make sure this guy's safe, or just tell him to keep his hand out, get on the phone with 911, leave him in the condition he is, and if he twitches towards a weapon, then you take more action to stop that threat. Because when you get up close to him like that, he can launch another ambush, and you might have some problems with him from there. Thankfully, that's not the case here. Our bad guy took the room temperature challenge. No good people were hurt. This guy covered his asp.